Ding dong ding-a-ling, ding dang a ding a dum doo. It's time for lovely weather, have a sleigh ride together with you. Ding dum dig a dum, ding dag a dig a dum die. It's time to get together when we're celebrating Christmas in July. Hi, I'm Jack Riley, and in case you can't tell, well, I love Christmas. Might be my favourite time of year. Good food, good company, excellent movies. The Muppets Christmas Carol might be enough to justify the whole season for me. There's just one small problem. I live in the middle of the desert known as Australia. Christmas falls on summer here, the worst time of year. I just want to sit by a roaring fire in my Christmas sweater, drinking mulled wine, and it's too damn hot. Not to mention a sudden burst of caroling might spook all the drop bears, and no one needs to deal with that, especially on Christmas. So what can I do about this conundrum? Simple. I celebrate Christmas in July. So what is Christmas in July, or Yuletide, as the more hardcore celebrators like myself call it? Well, according to the most reputable source I know, the Pud blog by Pudding for All Seasons, it is for those who wish to have those winter Christmas vibes. And I mean, yeah, technically that's part of it, but there's gotta be more, right? Surely Christmas in July is not just Christmas in July, right? What makes real Christmas so much better? I mean, I guess it's a old tradition, like 4th century old, but when did Christmas in July start anyway? Hang on. The exact origins of the term Christmas in July are somewhat hazy. The first instance appears to be in an old 19th century opera, in which in the first few minutes a group of children are singing Christmas songs in July. A friend, Monsieur Johann, arrives and says, Now this roughly translates to, when you sing Christmas in July, you rush the season. I don't really count this as a true iteration of Yuletide, as Johann appears to be quite the Scrooge and hates the holiday. Jumping forward to 1935, an article by Jean Grubb describes a girls' summer camp in which they celebrated Christmas in July. Turkey dinner, plum pudding, presents. This, I believe, to be the first true instance of Yuletide. However, the demographic is still quite narrow. We can go bigger. 1940 gave us the film Christmas in July, a rom-com written and directed by Preston Sturges. And if I could go on a bit of a film nerd rant for a second, this guy is one of the most interesting figures in old Hollywood. He was the first to be credited as a writer and a director, the first to win the Academy Award for Best Screenplay, and as someone who aspires to a lot like him, he really opened the floodgates for people like me. And I think that's really cool. Oh, the film? Yeah, it's alright. In 1942, a church in Philadelphia would collect presents in July to send to their worldwide missions for December, a practice that would be repeated by the US Armed Forces to send gifts to men on the front. But a true resurgence of Christmas in July would not be seen until 1980, when in, hang on, let me check my notes. That's like 90 minutes from here. Welcome to the Mountain Heritage Hotel, the home of Yulefest, the originator of Christmas in July as we know it today. I mean, can't you feel that? Can't you feel that Yuletide spirit flowing through you, warming you up against the cold?
Are you sure that's not just the mulled wine?
No, it's definitely Yuletide spirit, okay? Come on, let's go inside. This building actually has quite the interesting history. Built in 1908 as the California, it soon garnered a reputation as a honeymoon haven, bringing in a clientele particularly from the UK. It reportedly had a permanent orchestra during the 30s, which is a tradition we should really bring back to our hotels. During the Second World War, it housed women working at a nearby arms factory, and it currently houses one of the largest private collections of historical photographs. By 1980, it had come under the stewardship of Mr. Gary Crockett, and he was the one who threw the first Yulefest celebration.
It all began with the Irish. A small group had come to the Blue Mountains in search of the winter climate they were accustomed to. As they relaxed at the mountain heritage, they glanced out through the frosted windows, their conversation turning to home. As he quietly listened to his guests, Gary recalled his childhood and the stories of a white Christmas. There were sleigh rides and Christmas feasts, choristers joining together singing the songs of the season. With these images in mind, Gary offered to recreate for his Irish guests a similar festive Christmas. Preparations for the great feast began in earnest, with the hanging of decorations. Even a Christmas tree was found and trimmed. Word began to spread far and wide of this most unusual event, and other parties who wanted to enjoy such an occasion began flowing in. And what a night of festive frivolity it was! A Christmas feast fit for a king, roaring open log fires and carol singing in the lounge around the piano as snowflakes danced on the chilly wind outside.
This has been fascinating and all, but I still haven't answered any of my questions. What is Christmas in July? It can't just be Christmas in July. Am I the only one who cares about this? If only there was some easy way to find out. Ah! The truth is, I've suspected what Christmas in July is about for a long time now. It's been staring at me in the face. Hampers, bonbons, pud. Christmas shops open 365 days a year. It's the same fate that befalls every holiday. Maybe Yuletide is about commercialism. I mean, just look at Christmas in December. Black Friday, Cyber Monday, the trendiest toys, the latest gadgets, the most luxurious feasts, and for what? In 2023, the average spending on gift per person was $646. The survey that I got the statistic from cites this as a failure, by the way, and encourages businesses to look for ways to entice customers in so they can spend more and more and more. Even the term Christmas is going out of fashion. Its religious connotations are drowned out by corporations trying to appeal to as many people as possible. Christmas should be a time for inclusivity, but it's also superficial. Where does this leave poor Yulefest? Is it destined to befall the same fate as all these other celebrations? In all honesty, probably not. It's currently not big enough to have its mascot stolen by Coca-Cola for profit. But what does that leave us with? I don't know, maybe Yulefest doesn't need to be a big worldwide celebration. Maybe all it needs to be is an excuse. An excuse to enjoy the cold weather, to rug up on your couch and watch Die Hard for the umpteenth time. An excuse to do what seems to be lost in the hustle and bustle and sheer commercialism of December every year. Perhaps it's just an excuse to spend time with friends and family. And if that's the reason for the season, that's a pretty damn good celebration to me. So next Yuletide, remember this excuse and have yourself a very Merry Christmas in July.